did you ever have that temptation? Oh, this is so hard to be in the Philippines again. Intellectually at least. I think it'd be easier for me to be on the New York Times, for example, or the Boston Globe or the LA Times. Other literary publications there in the States.
Well, well, for one thing, I've never been in those publications, but um, when I first moved here, I didn't start out as a writer. I started out as a caregiver. I mean, I had to reinvent myself. When we left Manila, I was already publishing books. I was teaching at UP, and then when we moved here, I basically started out as at $7 an hour, holding a remote control for a TV for a paralyzed professor. And then I did a series of odd jobs, temp jobs. I was able to eventually become a preschool teacher. So I really did do a lot of things. And then eventually, um, former colleagues of mine from UP Diliman, Issy Reyes and Trixie, and Carol Howe, who now is at University of Kyoto, I think. They put together an online magazine called Leg Manila, Leisure and Entertainment Guide Manila, and they invited me to write regular columns for it. So I wrote, and basically after maybe 3 years of that, the essays or the articles I had written for them were what became the collection called Suddenly Stateside. So that was nice. I mean, and at that point, I think that was when I was beginning to see that I was transitioning into writing about immigration
Mm-hmm.
and writing about being where I was, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So,
And yes, very brave of you to sort of uproot your life and start from scratch, literally at zero, like you mentioned. I would assume that's a very tough challenge, but I want to be, sure. What's the toughest challenge you've had thus far in your journey, and how did you handle that challenge?
well, for Filipinos, specifically for Filipinos, we always have such a strong connection to, if not our family, our friends. So, in Manila, I grew up with 40 cousins on one side, maybe 20 on the other. I had at least 20 pairs of aunts and uncles. So people know you, and you've grown up around these people. You don't move when you're in Manila. You basically stay in the same spot. So people you've known since third grade, you grow up with until your grandparents pretty much. But when you move to the United States, the only connection you have to the greater world is really, unless your family's already there, it's really just your husband. So I think that would have been the hardest thing. And I think a lot of Filipinos who move here without the benefit of family or a ready-made support network find that to be really disorienting. It changes you in a granular level because you have to invent yourself. You have to negotiate your own space in a community with people who don't know you, who don't know where you're from, who don't understand your jokes, who don't, you know, even understand your points of reference. So, I mean, luckily we moved to Berkeley where pretty much everyone, I mean, it's a university town. So, because of that, it's very cosmopolitan. Our students come from all over the place. So, nobody really has a sense of like, well, we've been here since the pilgrims came, or, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit more open in that sense. But if I had been like one of these, mail order brides who ended up in, I don't know, in Iowa or North Dakota, I would have been completely,
Different.
I don't know. Yeah, it would have been a completely different experience because some parts of the United States don't really know where or what Filipinos are. So,
Oh
I mean,
no.
I've had people, I've had people or clients that I've had to translate for who think I'm speaking Spanish.